What about it, YouTube? Alright, I was doing some research. So, why I was doing research? Okay, so a long time ago, I got rid of my perversions as far as engaging in any kind of viewing of porn. And as a consequence, I don't masturbate to porn. And so I've been interested about, do men have a cycle, is basically what my question has. And then, there's been some people who've tried to suggest that prostate cancer can be affected by infrequent or frequent, or, something to do with how often a man ejaculates. It's argued, the jury's out, there's different studies, but it's really the jury's out as far as that goes. But I was trying to figure out if men have a cycle, and like a woman does, right? Like, is it healthier for, making babies? Is it easier to make babies? Healthy sperm? Is there a cycle? Should men clean out? Is there any reason why you should consider cleaning out, right? Nothing to do with being perverted, nothing to do with playing with yourself for the end result of just playing with yourself. Just from hey, is there some reason why it might need to be refreshed, And I found out some information. I think one article I read said that it takes 74 days for new sperm, even though you create sperm daily, but for those sperm to be mature enough to swim to the egg and be successful, it takes 74 days. So, but that still isn't an answer. I mean, is there nothing but a bunch of old guys, as far as the sperm goes, nothing but if you don't do anything, right, you leave it alone, and you don't have a wet dream, I mean, my question is, are you backing things up? Is it, is it a bunch of, old dying stuff in there? Is that any kind of problem? Whatever. So that's where the research was that I was doing. And then some little side information that I think may have some credence, because since I've cleaned up my act, I didn't put two and two together, but until the article said something. But the article said that men experience hair loss, or greater hair loss, when they're constantly fapping. And why don't I throw that in here? Because there's like these NOFAP guys, and I listen to some of their stuff, and that's great that they're walking away from porn, and that's great that they're walking away from playing with themselves, but it's almost like religion. And these guys, they get so into this NOFAP that it becomes the center of their life. I don't know. It's like if you're an alcoholic and then you make AA the center of your life. Like, all you're doing is going there and listening to people talk about drinking, and listening to people talk about, it'd be like having PTSD and joining a club of war storytellers. You have PTSD, but your answer to it, or whatever, what you decide to cling on to, it just doesn't make sense to me. It's like, if I've decided to walk away from something, I don't want to talk about it all the time. It's not something to think about or talk about for me. So, other than just to say I've walked away. But these guys, they make it into this sort of a religion. A lot of them are like, sort of like these, vegetarian types or whatever, and like going off the rails as far as their health goes. And so they'll talk about how this NoFap is making them the best, the greatest they can be, almost like this new agey, like, man god talk, like you can reach your highest level, and be your greater self and all this. I don't know. It just it lacks the spiritual battle. It lacks the understanding of how perversion and how sexual sin and how pornography and all of it is tied into the spiritual battle. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in. If you ever hear NoFap, that's what it is. It's almost like a religion of guys that talk about not masturbating. And I'll talk about PMO, stands for like a series, like you start with porn, then masturbate, then orgasm. So PMO means porn, masturbate, orgasm. And then they argue about, is it okay to MO? Is it okay to just masturbate and orgasm? Is it just the P that we need to get rid of? And then the diehards in the religion, I mean, again, it lacks a spiritual battle. To me, it has to do with the perversions in your head and what that's doing to you and how it's taking you away from God's plan and from, I want to say, being your greatest, highest level, but just putting you in a position where you can respect women and respect the institution of marriage and get along sexually with a wife, in a healthy way where you're not introducing perversions that you allow yourself to entertain. That's how I think you should approach it, is from the spiritual side, and using God as a helper to keep you away from temptation and perverted thoughts, whatever. And I mean, it's not. I would say when I decided to change my ways, I was about 90% there, and the 10%, it's not that. From time to time, yeah, you get that temptation, but I mean, actually, sexual sin becomes more, the less you entertain it and think. That's why I don't even like these NoFap guys necessarily, because the less you entertain even the topic, if you just stay busy and do other things and it just isn't a part of your life, the more it becomes disgusting to you when it does show its head, when you see something or hear something or hear somebody talking about something, or even sometimes the temptation itself gets you going, and then you're just, it's sort of a revulsion that you end up getting to. It's just filthy and sick, and you just recognize it different. You see it totally differently. Okay, but besides all that good stuff, oh yeah, so did I mention the hair loss? Yeah, so I noticed myself, I just want to wrap that up, sorry I skipped around. I've noticed myself that I haven't been losing much hair in the shower. And anyway, there was part of the information was that you'll have less hair loss if you have less ejaculations. So anyway, I think that personally, I'd have to agree that there was sort of a correlation there in the timing. So that's very possibly good information there. So that might be all you need to change your mind about it. Who knows? But again, I would suggest that you think about it in a spiritual way. But something I found really interesting, because a few months ago or year, whatever, I can't remember, time flies, but the big Pizzagate crowd were talking about walnut sauce, and they think that walnut sauce is code word for adrenochrome. And adrenochrome, they say, is extracted from the pineal gland of usually children who are terrorized and then murdered, whatever. So this is the Pizzagate stuff, and I'm not saying one opinion or the other of it, Would I be surprised? No. Do I have hard evidence? No. But that's what they say, that this walnut sauce, when there's emails of Podesta, whatever the heck, talking about walnut sauce, they're suggesting that is code word for adrenochrome, which again, and they say that it's the highest high you'll ever get. It's like adrenaline or something that's pulled out during during someone's trauma. So that's what they ingest, and then they get a rush out of it. And then some say that it's like highly addictive, so then they need more, and so more kids have to be terrorized and killed. And there's this industry. I don't know. But because they clung onto this word walnut sauce and then jumped over to that being from the pineal gland, during my research on this other, I just want to tell you what it says about the prostate. And you can find multiple articles that say this. The prostate is a walnut-sized gland located between the bladder and the penis. The prostate is just in front of the rectum. The urethra runs through the center of the prostate, from the bladder to the penis, letting urine flow out of the body. The prostate secretes fluid that nourishes and protects sperm. There's another article I read that described it as the fluid in sperm comes from the prostate. But that one just kind of said the same thing as far as, okay, let's see. The muscles of the prostate gland also help to propel the seminal fluid into the urethra during ejaculation. The prostate gland is a male reproductive organ whose main function is to secrete prostate fluid. Okay. So walnut sauce. I don't know. I'm not one of these weird people like Podesta or the Pizzagate crowd. What's that guy's name? James L'Enfant, which James Alefantis, which jamais l'enfant in French means I love children. James Alefantis. These guys, I don't know. I don't know what they're up to. I wouldn't be surprised. But I'm here to suggest that possibly you investigators may have got it a little bit wrong and jumped to a little of an extreme when you say that walnut sauce is equal to this adrenochrome. After reading what it says about the prostate, I think there's probably a better likelihood that walnut sauce is talking about sperm. Okay? Not that, that's a heck of a lot different or less gross. It's still sort of sick and gross. But at least, perhaps, no one had to get tortured and die for them to get their walnut sauce. So, anyway, I hope this was informative and interesting. And if you have any personal ideas on the subject, I wouldn't mind hearing them. I couldn't find anything. I thought maybe I'd find someone who'd done some studies to see if men have a similar cycle to women, or if they suggest like, hey, since women have to clean out every month, maybe once a month isn't such a bad idea. I couldn't find anybody that has thought that way, I guess. I don't know. After I thought of it, I thought I could be the first one. Someone has had to try to see if there's a cycle for men that makes some kind of sense with, fertility clinics or somebody you'd think that would have. Now they do say like, it's better if you wait a week because, and abstain if you're trying to have a baby, but they don't put it in the words I'm using as far as a cycle. And so my investigative work on that's still kind of on a hold. If anybody has anything to say on that, that's fine. But anyway, that'll do it. Don't whatever kind of walnut sauce is out there, make sure it comes from the tree. All right, bye.